Hey, you guys. This is the Nate and Kevin, or Kevin and Nate
Nate and Kev.
comedy hour. Comedy half.
Comedy hour.
Comedy half.
That is a long time to be funny. I
It's,
don't know.
It's a lot of pressure.
I'm
Maybe
a very
it's too
funny
much
person,
pressure.
but intermittently.
I'm usually funny, like my fingers are funny, like meaning I could type,
Maybe your fingers are
like
funny.
type funny shit.
It
But
sounds dirty.
I guess it kind of does, doesn't it?
How are your fingers funny? I mean, are they crooked? Are they...
They're
Let's see your fingers.
well, they're
Let's see your fingers.
kind of normal, I guess. They're a little long. They're
Well, you're big. How tall are you?
6'2". You have the fingers of an Irish bricklayer.
Oh,
Just
thank
you know,
you.
strong and
Masculine.
masculine,
And a worker. Blue
yes,
collar.
Yes.
That's awesome. I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
And they grab well.
Yes. Arr. Yeah.
You see people who have those fingers that are like, you're like, what the fuck happened there? That they're just like go off at a 90-degree angle and then come back up again. And you're like, how do you use that?
Yeah, I see that a lot, actually. The surprisingly frequently amount of time.
They're like, doesn't that hurts me just looking at it. They're like, it's like you should only have that hand if you're like over 70, you know, and you're dealing with like arthritis and this and that. But you see someone who's like 30 and their finger is going this way and this finger is going this way, and like, how do you work?
And when I was younger, like, it was like a dude thing to be proud of your deformities. Like, hey, look at this, man. Look how like my ring finger like goes at a 90-degree and then back, and then but once you hit 30, you're like no longer proud of those things. You're like kind of like, you know.
Well, it also showed like if you played sports, your fingers were fucked up. Like basketball, I can't tell you how many times I went to go catch the ball and it would hit my finger head on, and my finger would jam.
Jam your fucking
and
knuckle.
It felt like my finger was like one knuckle like retreated into my.
I know, seriously, that's like so painful.
Or football too, you know, you're going to tackle someone.
Yeah.
If your fingers get screwed up, or if you accidentally, you're not face masking the guy, but it accidentally goes into his face mask, forget it. Your finger's broken.
I don't like sports.
You heard it here
I don't
first.
like things where I get hurt. No. But I hear you. Crooked noses are kind of interesting, and it kind of tells a story, and it can be hot on a guy too. Like if a guy has like an irregular, like asymmetrical, no, it's like a nose with character.
When I
you know, yeah.
You know, when like lately, I like first of all, noses are like either a turn on or a turn off, like hands. Like if a guy has masculine hands, and if a guy has good proportion of like meat and bone and veins, I can't stop looking at his hands, and I'm like, oh my
love that.
God, those are hands to hold, you know. But it's like the same thing with a guy. If he has a busted nose, like if this thing suddenly goes wide like a diamond, I'm like boxer. I'm there,
and it's very masculine. It's very yeah. You do know the famous fashion designer Thierry Mugler, who back 20-30 years ago had a more, you know, finely boned featured face. In the last 10 years or so, he drastically transformed his appearance, where he got into steroids and got all big, but not only that, he intentionally had the bridge of his nose widened up here to look more masculine, which I've never heard of a guy doing that as plastic surgery before. He really did that. If I show you pictures, you're going to freak out.
I'm going to do that. I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah.
I wonder how much that is. We have to look that up.
But you already look great, though. Don't do that. And you have like a strong, like manly nose. Like it's not too crazy. It's not too big in any place. But it's
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So when I was younger, they used to call it Romanesque, and then I was like, what do they mean Romanesque? And then I looked up like Roman gods or statues, and I said, oh yeah, Romanesque. Yes. I don't know about that anymore though, because your nose keeps growing and changing.
Oh, it does. It's one of those things that never stops, does it?
Your nose keeps growing, your ears keep growing, and you keep growing hair in places where you never had it before.
I'm turning into my father, you guys. Like, you put side-by-side pictures. The older I get, the more I look like him. It's kind of crazy. I mean, luckily, my dad doesn't look hideous. He's a decent looking guy.
Same too. I have looked like my whole life like my mom, but still like my dad. But I feel like a lot like my mom.
Yeah.
And
I'm sorry.
That's all right. And oh my God, now in like the last year, it's my face and my eyebrows. I mean, your face is always evolving, but I look at myself and I'm like, oh my God, I have become my dad, and he had these eyebrows, and even everything is white. I've passed gray, like my beard, my hair, everything's white.
Yeah.
But and my dad was the same way, but these eyebrows stayed like this reddish, brownish, blondish thing. And I'm like, oh my God, I become my dad.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
It is what it is.
You heard it here first, guys. I don't know what you heard, but you heard something.
But I have Patrick Stewart's ears somehow.
Patrick Stewart's ears? Yeah,
and
Ed. Giving me some Patrick Stewart.
Very Patrick
Now that
Stewart.
you mention it, I love Patrick Stewart. The Next Generation is my favorite iteration of Star Trek. Yeah, it's great. It's evergreen for me.
That's for a lot of people, right?
It's
That's
late
like
80s
the best one.
Through mid 90s.
Like it ran longer than the original, and didn't it run just about the longest of the newer ones?
There was a good,
right?
I feel like there was a good 7 seasons.
Was that the one with LeVar Burton?
Yes.
And that guy who played that, what was his name? The one who played the robot or whatever?
Brent Spiner playing Data.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Gates McFadden as Dr. Beverly Crusher.
Yes. I wasn't, I don't know why I didn't get into it. I thought it was nerdy, or I don't know. But they are some of the best TV out there, bar none. And whenever I was with a friend who was watching it, I just fell into it. And, you can't tear yourself away because it's such good storytelling.
It's good storytelling, so that even though it's some things look a little bit dated, it's actually surprisingly not that dated for a show that was made in the late 80s, early 90s. Like, it actually kind of holds up.
Because how many iterations are there, including the original? There's there's 5 at least.
There's the original, there's The Next Generation.
Voyager.
Before Voyager, there was Deep Space Nine, and then Voyager, and then Enterprise. And then there was even another one. There was like 6.
What's the new one called?
And then the 7th one is Discovery, which is the bomb. It's really good. It's
the one now.
The one now
on CBS All Access.
CBS All Access. Discovery. I think it's the 7th
with the female
iteration.
Right? She's black female.
Oh yeah, no,
right?
It's
which
so
is fantastic.
Fucking good. Like, I think it's probably the best iteration that's ever been made. I think it even tops The Next Generation in terms of storytelling. Wow. And come on, I mean, it has the advantage of being 2019, like visual effects too. But like, really, the storytelling is really awesome.
But in the beginning, though, I heard it wasn't all that. Like, it took a little while to find itself, didn't it? Or
I think it did. I think like you had to wait until like midway or most of the way through season 1 before you're like, oh.
Which is okay, because not all shows come out of the gate, with everything together.
No.
Everyone has to kind of find it.
And there's world building to do, and there's character development.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest mistake they made in the first few episodes was allowing the Klingon characters to speak in the native Klingon tongue. And it's just grating on your ears to listen to it. You're like, stop talking.
Wait, so they did do that? And
they did do that.
They were saying in subtitles, and now they've stopped
in subtitles. Not that they've stopped that, but they've had fewer scenes with Klingons in them, and it's kind of a relief.
Well, okay, what's it sound like? Do a bit of their language.
Mishprak Bufak.
That's really good. Oh, that's really good. A little more. Say, how was your morning?
Kogo Mish Rakibu Kaka.
Say, how would they say, I love you?
Bufukra.
That's awesome.
Bufukra. Yes, just like, so guttural.
Oh my God, it's very angry language.
Yes.
It's very hard language. I actually was at a birthday party this weekend, and I met this actress who is on the show. Her name's Mary, but I don't know her name on the show. And she says, though, she plays one of these alien characters because she's tall, she's pretty, she's young, but she's full of prosthetics on the show. So I didn't get.
She's on Discovery?
Yeah. She was just lovely to speak to, and from the conversation, I was just introduced to her through a friend. It sounds like she's not too far out of like acting school, and she has to fly up to Toronto to shoot it. So sometimes she's there for a long period of time if she's in like back-to-back big episodes.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like they just fly her in and out, back and forth. She said it was the most delightful experience. They put her up at a nice hotel. She's not too far from, I don't know if it's Pinewood Studios. I know that's London, but I don't know if they have a version in Toronto. But whatever studio they built for it, she's not too far from it. And she said it's just like a class act production, and she's so happy to be on it. And it sounds like even a friend of hers got a recurring role on it as well. And so I said, now because that I met her, I said, now I think I'll buy CBS All Access and watch it.
I think it's worth it. Yeah. You have a couple commercials. It's only like $6 a month. It's kind of like Hulu in that way, you know.
One thing I got into recently is I was visiting a friend who's ill, and he was just getting into the remade version of the TV series Battlestar Galactica.
Nice. Okay, I've heard good things about it. I haven't seen it yet
myself. It ran for like 7 years. It was like highly rated, a lot of critically, got
acclaimed.
Yeah, and again, it's not something I'll watch on my own, but if someone else is into it, I'll watch it, and then I'll get like into it, and it's really good.
I heard it's really good. This one with Edward James Olmos, right? Yeah.
Yes,
I gotta check that out.
And
thank you. Oh
you're welcome. What's her name? From not True Crimes, but that Irish actress. She has reddish hair. She always plays a leader. Mary. No, it'll come to me.
How old is she?
She's like 50 to 60.
Oh.
And now I'm going to have to look it up.
Not Mary McDonnell.
Yes, Mary McDonnell. So she's the captain. And
love her.
Yeah, and also from the very beginning as well. She's the captain. She does things. Sometimes she makes mistakes, and sometimes she, accepts it and admits the mistake. And not everyone's happy with her. And but from the very beginning, the other thing is she's a captain who's running the ship, but she also knows that she has cancer and it's fatal. So it's good stuff. I mean, that's just one thing out of many things.
Do you remember the 80s sitcom called ER, Emergency Room? Mary McDonnell was in that, and it's from the mid 80s, I think.
No, and this is alongside not ER.
No, it was long before ER, the drama came out. It was called Emergency Room or ER, and it had a fucking theme song, and it went, I got a real emergency here.
Was it a comedy
and
series?
I really don't know what to do.
It was a comedy.
In the atmosphere. And my heart is going bum, 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 dun, dun, dun. No, seriously, it's really good. And it has that woman that overweight character actress who played Charlie Sheen's housekeeper in 2.5 Men.
Yes, Conchata Ferrell.
Conchata Ferrell was in it too. Mary McDonnell, Conchata Ferrell. And I want to say a Richard Dreyfuss-y kind of guy. Not Richard Dreyfuss. Oh, I can't remember.
Was it the one? Because the year before... Okay, maybe now there's 3 ER TV series. Because the year before ER came out...
Yes.
And you'll tell me if this is the same one. There was actually a sitcom called ER, and it starred Elliot Gould.
That's the same one!
Oh my God!
That's what I was thinking. It was Elliot Gould.
Elliot Gould started
it had a Jewish male lead, but
yes.
I was trying to remember who it was. It was definitely Elliot Gould.
Oh my God, we got to look that up. You can find everything on the internet. That is awesome. It lasted just 1 year, and it was like...
Oh, it was that short? I remember I used to watch it when I was a kid. Yeah. What was I doing watching that show? I don't know.
If it didn't last a full season, it lasted half a season.
That's short of a run, huh?
Yeah. I think there's good stuff out there that for whatever reason didn't hit because of its timing. And if you go back and watch it now, you're like, hey, actually, this is pretty funny. I wish there was a station or a channel, maybe there's, and I don't know about it, that brings back, shows that could have anywhere from a pilot, because there's so many pilots we never see. What are you doing with them? I wish there was some channel that brought back and showed pilots but also showed TV shows that only lasted a season or less. I would love that.
Oh my God, I would love that so much.
Do you know how many like good shows? I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of sad ones, but how many good shows actually just never hit because there's so much product out there, and how many like big stars are in these shows? I go looking for them on YouTube, and sometimes I find them like, Kid, you're gonna laugh. I went onto YouTube. I was on this Betty Davis kick, and I just go searching sometimes at night when I can't sleep, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go on YouTube, and I got to find something interesting, you know.
Yeah.
And I got to be entertained, and so like it was Betty Davis, and then I found this pilot Betty Davis did in 1965 called The Decorator, and it was the whole show. And she played an interior decorator, and she was just throwing her weight around, and she was quite good. Like it was quite good. It wasn't bad, and it wasn't great. You know, you could see why it wasn't picked up, but you could also see how it could have like run for a couple seasons in the world of Petticoat Junction and the Beverly Hillbillies and Green Acres.
It's like not.
It was a high end.
It's not like those shows were all that great. They were just like fun. You know, like I could see how it could have lived on in another universe, you know. And
she's like the decorator, and she was even kidding. There's this little kid who annoyed her, and she even would battle and tell the little kid off.
Oh my God, that's so great.
And she's like, and the little kid is like, the little kid was building like a castle in the sand on the beach because, of course, Betty Davis has a condo on the beach, you know, and the kid is in front, and she goes to teach the kid builds a castle. So, of course, Betty Davis, the decorator, has to show her, well, your castle needs a moat. She goes, no, it doesn't. And Betty Davis says, yes, it does. How can you have a castle? I can't do Betty Davis. How can you have a castle without a moat? She says, well, what's a moat? Well, a moat is the thing that goes around the castle. Well, I don't want one. Well, it's too bad. I say you'll have one, and you'll have one. Aww.
Oh my God.
It's awesome.
Sounds amazing, and it needs to be rebroadcast immediately.
Right? So, like, stuff like that. I love discovering stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, well, then that led me to when Faye Dunaway played Joan Crawford in Mommy Dearest. But what I found was there was this 1 year period, I can't remember if it was 1996 or whatever, where, okay, actually first I found all these interviews where Betty Davis was on all these interview shows, and before she died, but after the stroke, but she was decked out because she was into designers, and she was wearing all these...
she was like 80 and wearing designer shit.
She was wearing designer clothes, these gorgeous dresses, these great hats.
Smoking.
Decked out,
right.
But she was on the I hate Faye Dunaway tour, and it's like every talk show she talks smack about Faye Dunaway because they had done this TV movie in 1976 together about that Amy McPherson who led that church that we have here on the hill and who disappeared. It was called The Disappearance of Amy, and she said. Johnny Carson started. He said, "So who have you ever had trouble with?" I like everybody, but Faye Dunaway. Oh. She's a terrible person.
Oh my God. Wow. How ironic, really, that like someone who was famously played Joan Crawford, another famous adversary of Betty's, ends up being Betty's adversary. Well, I've heard like Faye Dunaway is notoriously hard to work with. And crazy, but that's so interesting. Oh my God, I want to see that clip.
And then so that led me to interviews where Faye Dunaway was giving interviews and finally willing to talk about Mommy Dearest because she won't talk about it. But it was
she did though in some cases.
Yes, and she blamed it. She blamed her performance on the director, which is partially true, but maybe that's what the director wanted, and that's the time we were in. But she said that director should have. She said that performance is nuts. That's my words, not hers. But she said that performance is nuts, and that's my director. Your director should be pulling you back.
Oh, it didn't pull her back.
She's like, that's not my fault. No. But who knows?
Well, it's one of those cool. I mean, everyone loves Mommy Dearest. It's such a cool classic. But it's like, but if you really went back and like analyzed the script from a writerly perspective, was it really a good script to begin with? You know, maybe not. And maybe this whole like Christina Crawford. Well, actually, when I watch it with a critical eye, I realize how lame it is from a storytelling perspective because really nothing happens. It's really just it's really just Christina Crawford has an axe to grind, and she wants to tell the world how bad of a mother Joan was.
Yeah.
But there's no character redemption. There's no redemption at the end at all. It's kind of like it goes nowhere. Like, it's fun to watch Faye do these like histrionics as Joan, and it's and the quotes and the slaps and things are legendary. But like, but it's a terrible film, really. It's just
But it was up for about 4 Oscars, all for like set design, costume design, hair, makeup, like all of that.
That shit was flawless.
Stunning. If you look at the film, still today, stunning.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's like right up there with like a movie like Carol. Remember Carol, Todd Haynes' Carol with Kate Blanchett? She was playing the married lesbian.
Yeah,
it's like and like that attention to detail to that period was gorgeous.
Oh, you're right. Now I'm remembering.
Carol was stunning.
Yeah,
the costumes, the set, the design. It was like the way Mad Men and Mrs. Maisel are.
Yeah,
like whoever's running that show knows what they're doing.
It sucks you into the world because the world is so real looking.
Yeah,
that's true. And yeah.
Now, interestingly enough, after Mommy Dearest, Betty Davis's daughter, who she was actually close to her whole life and treated well, turned around and wrote a book, like a Mommy Dearest book about Betty Davis, and it hit her hard. Like,
it hurt Betty, is what you're saying.
Because one, Betty was alive, and
Betty was not such a bad mother.
Betty
as Joan
was not necessarily like a bad mother, or at least not in that way.
Not like
and her daughter just like dumped on her while she was alive.
So she's taking advantage of a chance to make some money and get some notoriety or something. Because I remember Betty's daughter was an actress in her own right, but she didn't make it that big, right? I mean, I don't know. Like in that
who knows who Betty Davis's daughter is, right?
Well, in that Ryan Murphy show Feud,
yeah,
there was a couple scenes with like Betty's daughter where Betty's daughter was a bad actress, and she was still trying to like hook her up with parts. Remember that?
They usually are, right? Yes.
I wonder if Betty's daughter in some way was like jealous of her mother's talent and just kind of bitter and kind of like,
I think one daughter who did well, who had a good relationship with their mother, is like, you can look at the other side of that, Lucy Arnaz.
Really? I know nothing about Lucy Arnaz.
What?
Okay.
Oh my God. In the 60s and 70s, Lucy brought Desi Jr., her son, and Lucy on her show, and they played her kids. And
like on the Lucy show?
On the Lucy show, and Here's Lucy, yes. So in the 60s and 70s, they were on her show.
Got it.
But then Lucy, I think Desi Jr., I think he was in a band, and he was more musical. And he probably did the Love Boat,
I think he sang, and like, yeah. He was a little heartthrob, that little Desi.
Yeah. Oh, so good looking. I mean, he had that more mature Donny Osmond look. But Lucy became a musical theater actress, and I think she even won a Tony, and she was on Broadway in shows like, I'm going to be wrong, but like a show like It Had to Be You, one of like those little cute, light, romantic shows with like Tony Roberts or something.
Oh, cute.
Now I'm going to have to look it up. But and she still tours around and has a cabaret act. She's maybe she's 67. She still looks great. She used to be like on the Tonys and on the Emmys, and she would come on and give out awards and perform. And now, supposedly, she has okayed the movie version of Lucy's life. I'm not sure what it's called, but it's the Lucille Ball story. And she has okayed the casting of Kate Blanchett to play Lucille Ball, which is great casting. I mean, those eyes. Look at those eyes.
I just need a moment to process all this. Like, what?
Yeah.
The Lucille Ball story, you guys. The Lucille Ball story. It's going to be epic, legendary.
It's going to be great.
Ependary.
Yeah.
Combining the words epic and legendary. Lepicandary. It's going to be so good.
What? Leprechaunary? Lepicandary.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know this. I was watching... I love celebrities and stars, and especially the old-time classic ones. Last night, Cher took over the Jimmy Fallon show. The whole hour was Cher.
Why didn't I not watch this?
You could go online and watch it today. And it was all about Cher and also her life and her story and this and that. And Cher's had a phenomenal year. I mean, she's back on tour now. She's in residence in Vegas. Yes. She did Mamma Mia. She finally appeared in a fucking film again.
She did the ABBA cover album.
She did the ABBA cover album, which is incredible. Putting a Cher stamp on ABBA.
It's like perfect.
What a great idea. And she nailed it. And then she's got the Cher show on Broadway, and they also did outtakes of the Cher show, and they had the other stars from the Cher show on Jimmy Fallon, and so they had the young Cher and Sonny Bono singing "I Got You, Babe," and then the young Cher who plays her, because there's 3 Chers in the Cher show. There's the young Cher, the middle-aged Cher, and the older Cher. And supposedly the older Cher, Stephanie Block, is like the knockout of the show. There's 35 songs in the show. It's like a jukebox musical. It's kind of campy, but it's fun.
Did it just premiere on Broadway?
Just like in November or something.
Oh, it's been on Broadway.
Bob Mackie, who's still alive, did all the costumes. So you got the guy who did the costumes for all of Cher's life and Cher's shows doing the costumes on Broadway. And so they're more spectacular than anything.
The ancient Bob Mackie is still designing costumes, you guys. He's not sitting in a nursing home.
He might be watching this.
Feeling sorry for himself. He's still working.
Bob Mackie, we love you.
Oh, no, of course. Oh, my God.
He did Carol Burnett and her shows.
Dynasty.
No. Remember, that was Nolan.
Oh, I got that wrong.
Yeah, that's all right.
Nolan.
That's okay. Otherwise, they'd be all sequined up. They were in silk.
Oh, you're right. Okay.
But so on Jimmy Fallon, it's okay. You're sweet. So the young Cher from the stage backed away, and then this was so kind of cool and bizarre and time trippy. Then Cher, dressed as her younger 60s self, comes up to the Sonny, who plays Sonny on stage, and continued singing "I Got You, Babe." And I'm like, that must be such an emotional moment for Cher. Like, she was so. I'm sure she's over it. She doesn't cry anymore. But I mean, to see young Sonny and Cher today, and knowing that he died and everything, and that she's singing with him, and he sounded just like him and looked just like him.
It must stir things up in her.
Totally.
Like, oh my God, that's such a sweet, like, full circle moment for her career to have this Cher musical and like different eras of Cher presented in such a way. After we get off this show, I'm going to find all these interesting videos and post them on my social media, and I'm going to post it on our show's social media. Please follow our show. Please follow the Nate and Kevin Comedy Half Hour on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter. I guess I'll have to enroll us in a Snapchat account, even though I've never used it before.
Snapchat, Reddit, Pornhub,
M4M, Bear 411.
Something. Love you all. Have a great day.
I love you guys. Please subscribe and listen to us next week. Thank you. Mwah.